Hello guys, Spirit of Fear here, and today I'm bringing you Pyro Tactics 102 with my buddy Drake. Say hi, Drake.
I hate all of you.
He just kids. Now Drake here has been playing Pyro for quite a bit. So today we're going to do the Advanced Tactics Guide. We got to go over some certain extras that you can do as Pyro to show how good he is at actually dealing with a soldier and some other classes. So Drake, in your opinion, what weapons work best when it comes to a competitive setting?
Degreaser, Shoddy or Flare, and Extinguisher. No questions asked.
Alright, is there any exceptions to that rule?
Swiftwater, Backburner. If you're gonna use some Backburner, Man Melter.
Okay, and when it comes to Pyro, what classes is he best against?
Well, if somebody thought to themselves Spy, then yes, they're correct. And if somebody thinks anything other than Spy, then they're absolutely full of, lies and not candy. But Spies, gunboat soldiers, medics, and demos.
Alright.
Combat Pyro can make mincemeat out of them.
Now, with the air blasting for the Pyro, it's more powerful than what most people give it credit for. Is that correct?
Oh yes. In my opinion, it's probably one of the most overpowered aspects of the game. And Valve, if you watch this, please don't nerf it. I like it.
So it can do more than just putting people out and reflect a rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Now, if I fire a rocket at you... As you can see, he used the rocket to use the splash as a jump.
I'm rusty. Should have hit.
As you can see, it's very deadly rocket jumping towards that Pyro. Now, as I'm responding here, is there any opinions that you have on the other weapons in a public setting?
By other weapons, you mean pretty much everything?
Yeah, any other flamethrower, melee, secondary.
Well, in my opinion, the stock is definitely good on its own for pretty much any setting. It's very good if you're going to be using not as much of your secondary, but, maybe using it still. It's good for if you're going to be relying on your flames. Backburner is definitely good for taking advantage that people are not going to be paying attention. Phlogistonator, as controversial as it is, it can have its moments to shine as an actual decent weapon.
Alright.
Though it basically serves the same purpose as the Backburner. It's for flanking and blazing. Nothing else pretty much. It's useless otherwise.
Not the WM1 run at your face.
Correct. You WM1 from behind them. Set them all on fire, run away, taunt, come back. Bye. Pyro car.
Alright, so let's see if we can get you to rocket jump from up there over to the control point. Say my team's capping it and I see you.
Alert. The control
There we go. As you can see, he'd be able to get to my team while I was busy firing at him.
Of course, to any Pyro, you will have to be ready. Keep your flamethrower out because you might have to deflect an air shot.
Yes. Just as I was rocket jumping towards you, an air shot will also apply to me firing up to you in the air.
Yes, one thing I've noticed that a lot of kind of beginner Pyros do is they immediately shoot, they deflect the rocket and shoot a flare, which is honestly something I still do myself, but I've honestly learned that your flamethrower is probably what you're going to be wanting out 95% of the time. If there's a soldier coming in up you, If there's a soldier that you're not going to be taking down, you know, you're kind of just using his rocket to get away, you know, kind of just deflecting it away from yourself, you're going to want to keep your flamethrower out. You don't want to worry about your secondary as much. I mean, albeit, you know, you're using flare, those 90 crits are beautiful to see. Sometimes, if you're just more playing defensively or just trying to get your ass out of there, keep your flamethrower out. Because otherwise, you might be facing an air shot while you've got your shotty out trying to pelt at them. You know, it really all depends on the situation, but just be prepared that your flamethrower is going to be what you want 90% of the time.
Okay. Now, when it comes to scouts, what would you recommend in fighting them?
Oh, God. Well, one, if it's a situation like, say, here at mid, you're pretty much screwed because a scout, yep, never take them on in the open. In any situation, never.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Unless you have godly flare or shotgun aim, you are going to lose against a scout.
It's because they've got all these props to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But if, say, if it was in this tech room...
It's not so much props, it's where pyros, they don't do well in open, they do well in close quarters, and scouts, they do well in open.
Okay, so if it was...
basically double counter right there.
If it was in, say here, the computer room, you'd have the advantage.
Yeah, scout would be your bitch in here.
Alright. And soldiers, we already know you can reflect along with Demo Man's pipes and stickies.
Mm-hmm. General rule of thumb, 1 second. If they don't have... Once you get their attention, wait 1 second until they notice you. Because that's generally about a good estimate of reflex time. And they'll think, oh, something. Shoot at it. So, if you're behind them, they turn around, wait usually about a half second to a second, depending on how far, and reflect. Chances are you'll probably get that nice little mini crit.
Okay, now, when you come across a heavy meta combo or just a heavy alone, what would you suggest doing?
Not taking on that fight.
Even if you have the ambush advantage?
Yes. It's against a heavy as a pyro is a fight you just don't want to take on. I've had very few cases where, you know, there's a heavy alone that I could really do much against. One thing I recommend is, you know, kind of getting around cover, spamming your flare, see if you can juke him to unrev. If you can get him to unrev, charge in, pop and sting him.
Alright. Now, this logic can also be applied to public games too, correct?
Yes. Public games, let's face it, you probably will have a little more leniency to just goof around. So you'll probably be able to, take them on. One thing you can probably do that I've always found hilarious is you can stand on their heads.
It's always fun until they look up.
Yeah, but chances are if you're gonna fire and then pull out your extinguisher, they won't even know. Because it'll be over too quickly. But the only time you take a heavy on is if they're unrevved. If they're revved, just don't.
Now, when it comes to an engineer and a sentry nest, is a pyro very viable, or can you get around it?
It's very situational. If you can sneak past the sentry, then I'd recommend doing that. But if it's, say, you know, like right here, what you could do is stand around this corner, just edge it a little bit, and be able to take it out like so.
Okay, so with the spread of the flame.
Mm-hmm. Just edging. Or if you want to feel fancy, get behind it.
And circle strafe it.
Yeah, here's not a good space, and I lowered my mouse sensitivity again, so it's kind of... I'm not very practiced at circle strafing.
Yeah, but in general, it's strafe around it until it's...
Mm-hmm. I know there's actually a bind you can set that'll pretty much circle strafe for you, but I forget what it is.
Alright. Now, with spy checking, enemy has the Spicicle Dead Ringer.
Here's how you spy check.
Spray everything.
Check every corner. Anywhere you think a spy might be hiding, check health packs. Check teammates, obviously.
Yeah. But if he is using the bicycle, odds are he's got that 2 seconds.
If you catch him with the bicycle, what I've always done is I try to get around them and just air blast them against a wall. That's just what I do.
Okay, what I normally do is when I spy check them and I hear fire, 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 or one of Spy's lines, but he doesn't light, I usually assume he's going to be a spy.
A better way to identify spy school is that little psh, because it makes the extinguish sound when, he activates it.
Alright.
Which is much easier to identify, because you probably didn't put anyone out right there.
Yeah. And when it comes to medics, they pretty well can't fight a pyro one-on-one.
No, they can't. Unless, they get lucky and get that crit uber saw that just seems to always land, that you can't really dodge.
Yeah, but in no random crit servers or competition, it's not going to really happen.
But as a pyro, this is kind of back to fights you should and shouldn't take on. If you're lit, it's better to not go into fights, because every fight you go in, you're probably going to take some damage to some extent.
Being the close range combat.
Well, not even that. You'll probably take, say, splash damage off of a soldier's rocket. You might take a few straight... Ow! Like that, basically. But, yeah, any fight you're going to take on, only take it on if you've got full health. It's a general good rule of thumb.
Alright. Now, when it comes to sneaking around, what's your best option to learn how to get around the map?
Scout.
Just use a scout and practice getting around?
Yeah, if you're going to want to explore map, just practice it in pubs. What you could do is play scout or spy and just kind of, flank. It'll definitely get you in that aggressive pyro mindset.
Alright.
Which I recommend scout. If you're going to want to play soldier, pyro, demo, or medic, you definitely want to know how to play scout.
Now, when it comes to aiming your weapons, is there a special way that you have to aim anything?
Fire, the tracking honestly just comes with practice. Really, there's no way to actually recommend how to train your flamethrower aim. Especially, since... what can you really see past the fire?
Yeah. But you can practice your air blasting on certain servers, right?
Yes. Air blasting, though, is just something that comes with time. Some people, like my friend, says air blasting is incredibly easy, because he, started deflecting arrows point blank, like when he first played Pyro. I couldn't do that for quite a while, and I still struggle with it sometimes. Is that air blast ultimately comes down to prediction. Long range, it's like, okay, that's easy as pie. Fuck. Like, the soldier's halfway across the map. If I couldn't deflect that rocket, there's something wrong with me. But if it's point blank, I have to, either trick you into deflecting, force you into force you into it, or just generally make you play on my grounds. Air blast, it's prediction.
Alright, and
yeah.
When it comes to shotgun aim...
Scout.
Because of his scattergun, correct?
Though what I recommend to start improving shotgun aim is actually start out with Fat Scout in pubs.
Alright, so heavy with shotgun.
Family business is good, because it's kind of a good learning curve. It's easy to start out with. It's got more ammo. Heavy has high health to be able to kind of get started. It's basically... Family business heavy is a good way to start training your shotgun.
Alright. Now, flare gun. I went over in my Pyro 102 weapons that it does have an arc to it.
It's not a very extreme arc.
Yeah, but it does have a decent speed to it.
I've actually not noticed much in the speed difference between rockets. I don't know, maybe it's just it's a tiny projectile, but I've never noticed a difference.
Mission ends in 60 seconds.
Alright, and extinguisher is all about learning when to use it or just your flamethrower, correct?
Yes. Extinguisher is only if you want to guarantee a kill, and it's better off used on, say, medics and snipers.
Alright.
Maybe
And the homewrecker is your Pyro weapon. It's not what you want to melee people with.
Yeah, but I still seem to go for a lot of homewrecker kills anyways. Just be mindful that when you get used to Pyro, melee is gonna be a weapon you're gonna be using like a lot just by instinct.
Alright. Now, when you're a Pyro and your engineer wants to move his equipment up, what's your best situation to make sure he doesn't get killed?
Stay with him. Stay with him the same way you would a medic. Make sure nobody's behind him.
No one's behind him. What about a jumping soldier at him?
That's definitely going to be difficult. If a soldier's jumping, obviously be prepared to air blast. You know, hope you can get the air shot. Unless you're really good with them and you know you'll get it. But a jumping soldier as a Pyro is something that's always going to be an issue. So I do recommend, you know, like practicing against soldiers. Finding a server and just kind of figuring out where their soldiers are going. Maybe, you know, kind of look at what they do. Or even in that case, play soldier.
And actually learn how to rocket jump and how
Not
their
even
weapons
so much
work.
That, just learn how the weapon itself works.
Yeah,
You know, just like start jumping medics. Learning the timing and everything. That should have deflected. What?
It looks like the server ran out of time.
Oh. Alright, half hour.
Well, that's not too bad anyways. Now, when it comes to weapons, if you want to learn basics of them, I do have tutorials up, 101s. I teach you how the stock weapons work, so you can actually watch that. I'd like to give a big thank you to Drake for helping out with this video, and thanks for viewing.